Story of Fion McCuaeill. The Fianna were a great army of warriors and hunters that protected the king. They were the greatest, most powerful men of their generation, and to serve in the Fianna was considered a great honour. Only the bravest, most talented men could ever hope to lead the Fianna. Fion's father had been leader of the Fianna, but he was killed by enemies in a terrible battle before Fion was born. His mother, Myrna, went to the king and asked him to provide her with shelter and protection. The king gave her a place to stay, and soon she gave birth to a baby boy she named Fion. Fearful that his father's enemies might come after Fion and kill him, she changed his name to Demna and brought him to two women called Bodil and Fiachel. Bodil was a druid and Fiachel a warrior, and Myrna knew that her child would be safe in their care. The women promised to protect the boy, but Myrna was obliged to agree that not even she could know where her son was. She was saying goodbye to him for the last time. It pained her greatly to do this, but she knew she must for the boy's safety. With eyes heavy from tears, she kissed the sleeping baby one last time and returned to the king's castle alone. The two women treated Demna as if he were their own son and trained him in all the arts of war and magic, in the skills of survival and athletics. As he grew into young adulthood, Demna became a skillful hunter, a fleet runner, and a keen warrior. He grew curious about the outside world and began to stray further and further from his forest hideaway. His guardians urged him to take care and keep himself hidden from all people. But the young Demna was inquisitive and saw no reason to hide himself away. One day he wandered out of the forest altogether and came to the fort of a chieftain. There were a group of boys playing hurling in the clearing in front, and Demna asked if he could join them. Despite the fact that he had never played before, once shown the rules, he was easily the best of them, and he returned many times to that place to play hurling. Each time, more of the boys ranged themselves against him, until eventually he could take on the whole group single-handedly and win the game. People began to talk. They wondered who was this strange, half-wild boy from the forest who had so much skill and strength. They grew jealous of his talents, and one day Demna arrived at the fort to find himself attacked on all sides by the boys wielding hurley sticks as weapons. Once he recovered from the initial shock of his friends attacking him, Demna easily scattered the boys, leaving some incapacitated and moaning from their wounds, and one with blood pouring from his head. He ran home to tell Bodil and Fiachel what happened. They were very fearful for him and realized that Demna would now incur the wrath of the powerful fathers of those boys. Furthermore, word of his astonishing physical prowess could arouse suspicions that he was the son of Cuaeill. It was therefore not safe for him to stay with them any longer. They urged him to leave immediately and find safe shelter elsewhere. Demna took some persuading, as he was sad to leave the two women that he loved and who had protected and taught him so well. But he saw the wisdom of their counsel. Fion travelled south for many days until he came to the kingdom of Bantry. He joined the king's fighters and quickly distinguished himself as the greatest among them. The king asked to see him and immediately recognized the look of his father, Cuaeill, about him. The young man told the king that his name was Demna, but the king contradicted him. "You are not Demna. I know who you are, boy. You are Fionn, son of the mighty Cuaeill, the greatest of all the Fianna leaders." A shadow passed over the king's face. "You are not safe here, Fionn. Gull MacMorna, the man who killed your father, will kill you too if he finds you. You must leave here at once. I cannot guarantee your safety here." Though he had never been told of this, Fionn immediately knew that what the king said was true. He left, determined to learn more about his father and this man who had murdered his father, and who wished to kill him too. He made his way to the fort of Crimel, a man he knew to be his uncle. Crimel was pleased to see him and took him in as his own son. Over many nights, he told Fionn about his father's countless brave deeds and explained how it came to pass that he and Gull MacMorna had become mortal enemies. As he listened, Fionn became convinced that it was his destiny to avenge the death of his father and take control of the Fianna back from Gull MacMorna. His uncle agreed with him, but advised that it was necessary to have not only strength and courage, but also to be a man of wisdom, learning, and culture. Fionn was not yet ready. He therefore suggested that he approach a poet called Finnegas, who lived by a deep pool near the River Boyne. Finnegas was said to be a very learned and clever man, and if he took Fionn on, it would help the boy gain a rounded education. Initially unfriendly, Finnegas eventually agreed to allow Fionn to hunt and prepare food for him in return for tuition in the legends and poetry of Ireland. Fionn was curious to see the man fishing in the deep pool by his hut for several hours of every day. One day he asked him, "Why do you fish here and not in the richer waters of the Boyne?" Finnegas looked at him for a moment and spoke in his slow, soft voice. "Fionn, my boy, you must not share this with anyone, but it is said that the salmon of knowledge lives in this deep pool. Have you heard of this salmon?" Fionn shook his head, and Finnegas continued. "It is said that this salmon has absorbed all the knowledge of the world, all that has been, that is, and that ever will be. The person who eats the salmon will gain complete knowledge. All the truths of the world will be known to him, and he will be master of his own destiny. It is written that a tall, fair-haired man will eat the fish. I believe that man is me, and for years I have dreamed of catching and eating this salmon." Fionn was just thinking that he was also a tall, fair-haired man when he noticed Finnegas's fishing line begin to move wildly. "Hurry," shouted Fionn, "you've caught him." Quick as a flash, the old man grabbed the line and began to reel it in. Both men gasped as a glistening, beautifully coloured salmon emerged from the dark pool. Fionn was transfixed. The salmon appeared to emanate light and was speckled with colours that he had never seen before. But Finnegas was intent on eating it as quickly as possible. "Quick, boy, stoke up the fire. Let's get this fish ready for eating." The old poet placed the fish on a spit over the fire and went to the river to bathe. He cautioned Fionn against eating even a morsel of the fish, for only one person could benefit from the wisdom of the salmon. When Fionn heard the poet returning, he took the fish off the fire in order to prepare it for Finnegas to eat. As he pulled the fish off the spit, Fionn burnt his finger against the flesh of the hot fish. His thumb blistered, and he sucked it to ease the pain. Finnegas sat down to eat the salmon, and Fionn brought it to him. The old poet looked Fionn in the eye and saw that the boy had been transformed. He called out sadly, "What is your real name, boy?" Fionn replied, "My real name is Fionn. I have enemies, and the name of Demna is for my protection." The old man sighed. "The salmon is yours now, not mine. Take it. Eternal knowledge will be yours. I am too old anyway. It was never meant for me. You are the fair-haired man described in the prophecy. How foolish I was to think that it ever could have been me. Eat it and go. There is nothing more I can teach you." From then on, Fionn only had to put his thumb in his mouth to know whatever he needed to know. After leaving Finnegas, he wandered round much of Ireland, fighting with armies in many battles and never once being defeated. Then, around the time of the festival of Samhain, Fionn found himself near Tara. He heard that the chieftain Conn was holding a great feast and that all the kings and chieftains of Ireland were there. The festival was the biggest celebration in Ireland, a time for forgetting old feuds and celebrating life and community. Fionn decided that he too would like to attend. He knew that all the Fianna were there, and this was the moment to take his place as leader of the heroic warriors. The kings and the top Fianna warriors were feasting in a great hall when Fionn walked in unannounced and took a seat at the great table. Silence descended on the room, and the king demanded to know who this stranger was. Fionn answered boldly, "I am Fionn, son of Cuaeill. I am here to put myself at your service." A cry of great surprise went around the room. They had all heard rumours that Cuaeill had conceived a son with Myrna before his death, but none had known for sure if it were true. The murderer of Fionn's father, Gull MacMurna, sat by the king's side. Fionn gave no indication of knowing who he was, but silently vowed to take the leadership of the Fianna from him, however it had to be done. Conn regarded Fionn silently for a moment before breaking into a smile. "Fionn, I have often wondered when you would make yourself known to us. Your father was a brave and heroic warrior, and a loyal friend to me. You are most welcome at our table." Fionn feasted with the others, and later Conn made a solemn speech. "Fionn, this may be news to you, but everyone else will be aware that tomorrow, on the day of Samhain, we expect to be visited yet again by Allan MacMiana. We fear that he will once again come here and burn our fort to the ground. Every year he puts us all to sleep with his enchanted music and then destroys the place with great sheets of fire that come from his mouth. Every year we rebuild the fort in the hope that someday a man will be found who can overcome this terrible ogre. Could you be that man, Fionn?" Fionn stood up. "If I am, and if I slay this demon, then I will surely take my rightful place as leader of the Fianna. Do you agree?" Conn bowed. "You have my word." Later, a man named Fiacha approached Fionn. "You must listen to me. I knew your father, and I want to help." Fionn stared at this wizened, balding old man. "How can you help me?" The man smiled slyly. "I'll need you to show your appreciation, of course. Perhaps something in the order of 1/3 of your income and the chance to be one of your advisors in perpetuity." Fionn put his thumb in his mouth and immediately knew that this man was his only chance of overcoming the enchanted music, and that he must give him what he asked. Very well, you have a deal. Now, what help can you offer? The man disappeared, and then returned with a spear. As soon as Alien starts his enchanted music, bring the head of the spear close to your nose and inhale its poison. The spear's venom is so strong that it will keep you from sleeping. Fionn took the spear and stepped out onto the fort's thick walls to begin his vigil. Very soon he heard the first notes of Alien's deadly music, and he inhaled deeply of the spear's poison. All throughout Tara, the people fell into an enchanted sleep under the spell of Alien's music, until only Fionn and Alien remained awake. Alien approached Fionn and opened his mouth, allowing a great sheet of fire to issue forth. But Fionn was ready for it. He held his great crimson cloak in front of him, and the magic garment deflected the fire downwards, so that it burned a huge crater in the ground. Alien realized that his powers were useless against Fionn, and fled to the north, with Fionn in hot pursuit. Fionn soon cornered him and killed him with his spear. Triumphantly, he cut Alien's head off and took it with him to Tara. The next morning, when the people of Tara and Con awoke from their enchanted sleep, they were overjoyed to find the fort still standing and the head of the hated Alien impaled on a pole hanging from the castle ramparts. The king called everyone to the green in Tara at midday. There he declared that Fionn was a true hero for seeing off the evil Alien. I made you a promise, Fionn, and I intend to keep it, said the king. He reached his arm out and pulled Gull MacMorna to him. Gull, you have been a brave and true leader of the Fianna, and you have nothing but honor against your name. But now, in fulfillment of my promise to Fionn, and in deference to his lineage, I wish to announce that Fionn, son of McCuaeill, is the new leader of the Fianna. Will you accept him as your leader? Gull nodded and reached out his hand towards Fionn. The men shook hands, and Fionn raised his spear to cheers from the crowd. Fionn's heart leapt inside his chest. He had achieved his destiny, and they were celebrating in Tara for 7 days and 7 nights.